they doing with the money? I have no idea, but my brain was rattling the cab on the way here. What are they doing with the money? And then now I grew up in New York, which has the same scenario, and I escaped. I ran for my life to California, which when I moved there in '89 had much lower taxes than New York. By the time I left California in 2000, taxes were through the roof. And also, with all that high taxes, I said, what did I get for it? Nothing. Now I live in Nevada. State income tax, for those of you who don't know, 0. Business tax in Nevada, for those of you who don't know, 0. Inheritance tax, when you pass away, you want to leave what you've worked your whole life for to your kids, 0. Property tax in Nevada, 1/2 of what you pay here in property taxes. And what am I missing in my life for all that? Nothing. See, that's the thing. That's the thing that government doesn't want you to know. What you get for all this money that you waste in Illinois is nothing. If you're a producer, that's what I call people who make all the money and pay all the taxes and take all the risks and create all the jobs, or if you work for someone else, have a nice income coming in. Government needs you. You're their money ticket. They need you desperately. See, here's the problem with taxes. Democrats and liberals like to say, let's raise the taxes on the rich. And, you know, funny thing is, I don't want to raise taxes on anybody, but at least if you're going to raise them on someone, I would say, okay, it's fair to raise them on Warren Buffett. It's fair to raise them on Donald Trump. I don't think we should raise on anybody. But if you were going to raise them, at least you could make an argument the guy made $1 billion last year. But there's only like 50 people like that. So they keep talking about the rich and demonizing the rich, but there aren't enough of them to make up the deficit. So what they do is they say the rich is anyone who makes $100,000 or more. Well, I don't know about you, but I know people who, you know, teachers, policemen, firemen, they make 70. They're married to a person who works for government. They make 70. You know, very easily, middle class today is $140,000 a year. So how could you say we're taxing the rich when you tax people that make $100,000 a year? $100,000 a year happens to be middle class. And the fact is, $200,000 a year and $300,000 a year and $400,000 a year is good income, but it's not easy to have anything left at the end of the day when, like me, you have mortgages and you have my kids are all homeschooled. I have 4 kids, 4 young kids. They're all homeschooled. We have tutors come in, teach them every day. And you've got your food, and you've got this, and you've got that, and your car payments. When it's all done, there's just nothing left at the end of the day. You know, I hear people all the time on the internet, they claim that I'm a rich guy and I'm a Donald Trump for the Libertarian Party. It's not true. I'm a small businessman with 35 employees. I make a very good income off my business, but I'm in no way, shape, or form rich. The fact is, at the end of each year, I like to say I am poor at a much higher level than most people. Because at the end of the year, it doesn't matter if you make $100,000 a year, $50,000 a year, or $500,000 a year. You know, if you're the Kennedys and you have a trust fund in Fiji with $800 million in it, or you're John Kerry and his wife inherited the Heinz fortune, she has $3 billion, and it's all offshore. They pay no taxes at all on $300 or $500 or $800 million. But if you just make $400,000 or $500,000 a year, trust me, it's gone just as quick as a person who makes 50. Whatever you make in this world, you spend. And what I think libertarian philosophy is, what it really boils down to is, Barry Goldwater said your money is your property, and your property doesn't belong to the government, it belongs to you. And he also said a certain amount of taxation is fair, because government has to survive. It needs police, fire, military, garbage, you know, few minor things it's got to do. And do them well, but it doesn't do any of them well. But the end result is that government takes far too much, and beyond a certain amount, Barry Goldwater felt it was your property and it wasn't right. So I think what we've got a chance to do this year, if I am the candidate, and I believe I will be, let me rehash where I've been. There were only 3 Libertarian primaries. Where people actually went to the polls and voted on Super Tuesday. They were all beauty contests, which means they really didn't mean anything. They don't count. You can only get a nomination in Denver in May at the Libertarian Convention on Memorial Day weekend. So nothing that happened in those primaries is official, but nonetheless, thousands of people went out and voted on Super Tuesday. And the only Libertarian presidential candidate who finished first, second, or third in all 3 is myself. I won Missouri, finished 3rd in California, 2nd in Arizona, the only one. And I didn't campaign in any of those states, never set foot in them. Since then, I've started campaigning very hard. And I went to California, which arguably is a little different than other libertarian states. Everybody here looks professional. In California, everybody was wearing Birkenstocks and tie-dyes and ponytails, and very, very left-wing anti-war libertarian, a little bit different than the crowds I found in other places in the country. And one where most people thought I wouldn't do well. We had the Libertarian presidential debate, then we had the Libertarian preference straw poll, and I won in a landslide. 3 ballots, won on all 3 ballots. On the third one, won with 60% of the vote, and beat out the native son of California, Steve Kubby, who's well known for his marijuana activism, and everyone in the room knew him and liked him and was friends with him, and I still won big. So that was a great sign. Then I went to Colorado, gave a speech with all the Libertarian presidential candidates. I won that straw poll. Then Third Party Watch did a poll of thousands of Libertarians across the United States. I came in first among delegates by a landslide. I came in first among delegates, came in first among all Libertarian voters by the big margin. I believe out of a field of 12 Libertarian presidential candidates, I got 27% of the vote. Second place was like 19%, and it was none of the above. And third place was Steve Kubby with 15%. So I had a pretty darn big lead there as well. So I've won everywhere I've been that's had a poll and that took a vote after a debate. Here's what I offer the Libertarian Party. Now, I don't know how many of you know, but Mike Gravel just got in the race. Do you know that name? Mike Gravel is a former United States Senator from Alaska, a Democrat United States Senator from Alaska. He was beaten in 1981, I believe. That was the last time he was in the U.S. Senate. He's 77 years old. He's now gotten in the race. And, all of this is good for the LP. It doesn't matter if we have disagreements. It's great that we're attracting somebody who's a former United States Senator. Even if I disagree with him, and even if I don't think in any way, shape, or form he's a libertarian, that's okay. He's in the race, and that means something. He was in the Democratic presidential race. He didn't do very well. Barack Obama and Hillary and John Edwards got all the votes, and I think he got 0.01%. But he was at all the Democratic debates on national TV, and he's now decided he's a libertarian, and he's entered our race. And tomorrow I'll leave for Kansas City, where we're all debating, and he's joining us. Now, today, the latest news was Bob Barr is thinking about getting in the race. The exact opposite of Mike Gravel. He's a former CIA guy. He's a former Republican United States congressman. He's on the Libertarian National Committee, Libertarian Party's National Committee. He may get in the race. He was on Hannity's radio show today, and it sure sounds like he's getting in the race. Now, of all the things that I can bring to this party, he's the only guy in the race that I believe is even close. Because here's what I do for the party that no other candidate can do. Number one, I bring instant energy. What I am, what my attributes are, I'm young, I'm aggressive, I'm passionate, I'm high energy, I'm a communicator. I believe I'm a Ronald Reagan for the Libertarian Party. We've never had that. There is one word to describe our candidates. All good, principled people. But the one word I come up with is boring. And the one word you can't be on TV is boring. Now, I was told when I came to this party that you just wait, Wayne, because you've been on TV your whole life. When you announce you're a Libertarian presidential candidate, you'll never get on TV again. They'll all laugh at you and they'll ignore you. So in the last 2 months, as just a guy running in the LP, I told you, Medvid, Glenn Beck, Fox News, Fox Business, MSNBC, CNBC, CNBC Europe, Bloomberg Television Europe, Satanta TV in the United Kingdom, about 100 radio stations all over the United States. Last night I was on the biggest radio station in San Diego that has Rush Limbaugh, Hannity, and Laura Ingraham and people like that. And I was supposed to be on for 20 minutes, and it went so well it kept me on for an hour and a half, and I took about a dozen calls. So my point is, I get media like no libertarian has ever gotten media. The groups I bring to the LP, I think, are what's important. Bob Barr is not a small businessman. Mike Gravel is not a small businessman. Kubby, Phillies, they're not small businessmen. That's what I've done my whole life. And I've given speeches my whole life to small businessmen. That's what I do. That's who I'm going after. There are 27 million small business owners in the United States who all think like us. They're fiscal conservatives. They're into fiscal discipline. And really what they want more than anything else is they just want to get government off their back. They're sick of all the forms and all the regulations and all the rules and all the taxes. We want to get government out of the way and off our back. Now, separate from those 27 million small business owners, there's also million upon millions of independent contractors, self-employed people. And by that I mean real estate brokers, stock brokers, mortgage brokers, insurance brokers. That's my audience. That's who we go after. That's something I bring to this party no one else in the LP can do. Number two, because I'm a homeschool father of 4 young children, and there's not one other declared candidate in the LP or anywhere else who's a